Hi Booklovers, welcome back to my channel. I'm finally doing my wrap up for last month for October. It was a slightly slower reading month for me. Didn't read as much as I usually do, but I made it to 27 books, including a couple of novellas. I was in a bit of a slump last month. I mainly just read romances for Halloween and then the beginning of the P&R readathon. So here is everything that I read for October 2020. First up is Slippery Creatures by KJ Charles. This one was actually a recommendation from my friend Desiree, Genki Reader on YouTube. She raved about this one so much. So of course I went straight to my library, my Libby app, and borrowed the audiobook. Sadly, I didn't love it quite as much as Desiree did. I'm giving it 3 stars, but that's kind of because of my struggle with the audiobook. The narrator, I mean, he's a good narrator in terms of like his voice and how he narrates different characters, but his accent is just so strong that I had to lower my listening speed to like 1.5 or 1.6 times the speed, and I don't even remember the last time I ever listened to an audiobook that was lower than 2 times the speed. So the narrator's accent was just really strong for me. I kind of had to restart some chapters that I just did not get, but the story itself was pretty cute. It's an historical romance. It takes place in the 1920s after the Great War, where one of our main characters, Will Darling, fought in. Will comes back from the war, he inherits his uncle's bookshop, and then these strange people come into this bookshop asking him about something that he has no idea about because he just literally inherited the bookshop. But there's definitely something dangerous and mysterious that his uncle was involved in, and now he's forced to be involved in as well. This is when Kim comes in, our other hero. He comes in when these guys are getting rough with Will because they want what they think he has, but Kim has his own motives for coming across Will, which Will eventually finds out about. Their romance is pretty darn slow, I'm not gonna lie. It was a bit too slow for me. The romance didn't develop enough for me. These two just had sex a lot, but it's probably the kind of series where the romance develops throughout all the books. So book 1 is more like the build-up, but sadly it just didn't work quite as well as I was hoping it would. I liked Will, I liked Kim, they were fine characters. I just wasn't invested enough in their romance, but it is a fun historical romance. If you want something a little bit different than your typical, you know, Victorian Regency MF romance, there's quite a bit of action, there's a good mystery. I would still say you should give Slippery Creatures a try. I do eventually want to continue with the series, maybe when the entire series is all out. Next, I finally finished up the Bad Reputation duet by Kristen, Becca, Ritchie with Wherever You Are. This is the second and last book of Willow and Garrison's romance, their new adult romance. I'm not really sure why it took me so long to finish up the series, because book 1 and book 2 literally released like a week apart. I really enjoyed Whatever It Takes, but I didn't quite love Wherever You Are as much. My main problem was just that I just wanted more of the present day storyline. I just didn't really care about their past because the chapters, they alternate past and present. I just wanted to read about the present, didn't really care about the past anymore. I wanted to see more of Willow and Garrison dealing with their romance while Willow's in college and Garrison is dealing with his job working for Connor Cobalt. I wanted to see them deal with their long distance relationship and just see them grow older and finally be together like they deserve to be. So I'm giving this one 3, maybe 3.5 stars. And after reading this one, I kind of wish that they didn't do the past present switching of chapters like they just did. Maybe book 1 set in the past and then book 2 all set in the present and getting more of the present. Towards the end of the book we do skip a couple years and I wanted to see those years. I didn't want them to be skipped. So overall this was slightly disappointing. It wasn't a bad read. I'm still really happy that we got Willow and Garrison. We finally got their happily ever after, but I definitely expected just a little bit more for this duet. I also read another Krista, Becca, Ritchie book right after, Charming Like Us, finally continuing on with the Like Us series. So this one is book 7. The authors have recommended that the series be read in order, even though a lot of the books have different couples. Here we finally have Oscar and Jack's story. It's another romance in this series. Oscar is a bodyguard. He's a bodyguard for Charleigh, part of the Cobalt family, and his hero is Jack. Jack has been introduced in the earlier books. He's one of the producers of the Calloway show. The only thing is that Oscar is gay and Jack believes believes that he's straight. But since meeting Oscar, Jack has been feeling quite attracted to this guy, so he's been questioning himself, and these two are thrown even closer together when Charleigh agrees to be filmed by Jack for this exclusive thing. And wherever Charleigh is, Oscar is, so Jack and Oscar are going to be quite close to each other. There's just a lot going on, like with every Like Us book, not just between Jack and Oscar, but with everything else, between the bodyguards, between all three of the famous families, this new documentary thing that Charleigh is doing. There's just a lot, and I kind of wish that the story focused more on Jack and Oscar and their romance. So the story itself, I'm giving it 3.5 stars, but I'm bumping it up to 4 because I did really love the audiobook. The narrations were so good. So it's not a bad installment to the series. I still liked it, but it's definitely not a new favorite. I am looking forward to the next book though, which is Sully's book and the MFM romance. We finally get some build up between our little throuple in Charming Like Us. I am a little annoyed that it's not just in one book because we have to wait even longer for the series to finish, and I just want to get to the happily ever after ending, but whatever, I'm still going to read them. And then I read my very first Charlie Rose book, Misbehaved, and I did not enjoy it. I gave it 2 stars. It's a teacher-student romance with an age gap. It's not my favorite. I prefer to read professor-student because they're set in college, but this one is set in high school. But thankfully the heroine is 18 or like about to turn 18. Remy, the heroine, has just transferred to a new private school and she's trying to make the most out of it so she can get out of her town and make a life for herself. The only person in her family that cares about her is her stepbrother Ryan, but he cares about her in a way that is a bit too much. He is insanely possessive, does not respect that stepbrother line, and crosses it constantly. Ryan literally wants Remy to himself. He does not want other men to touch her. He wants to be the only one to be able to touch her, and it was just so strange because unless I'm reading a stepbrother romance, I don't really want to see that. She has a debate class and that's where she meets her very hot teacher, Mr. James. Pierce and Remy have an insane chemistry from pretty much the moment that they meet. Their romance is very forbidden, very taboo. I liked it for the most part for like 75% of the book, but then things changed a lot in the last quarter and I just got more and more annoyed, which is why I went from a 3-star read to a 2-star read. The heroine just makes some terrible decisions and puts the hero through some shit that he absolutely did not deserve to. Honestly though, by the end, both of these main characters just felt so annoying and immature to me, so I just was done with it. It was a pretty disappointing first book from this author, especially when I know some friends who love her. Next I read Sweet Talkin' Lover by Tracy Livesay. This is book 1 in the Girls Trip series. I read book 2 first because that was the only one I had at the time, but I really liked book 2, so I decided to catch up with the series and finally read book 1. This one was 3 stars for me, not bad, but definitely didn't love it as much as book 2. It's a small town romance. We have a workaholic marketing manager who is sent to the small town to shut down this factory, and of course she falls in love with the town's mayor and has to decide between the big city life or this quaint small town. Honestly, this would probably make a really good Hallmark kind of movie. But I did like this one. It was really sweet and cute. I just didn't love it. Things happen a little bit too quickly because Kayla is in town for only a week or 2 to finally shut down that factory, and Wyatt has that short amount of time to make Kayla see how wonderful that small town is, how important that factory is to the people because it's the biggest employer in the town. So if you like a small town romance with a good sense of community, and if you want a small town romance that's not all white, the heroine is black, then this book would still be a good one to try. I would highly recommend the second book though. It worked a lot better for me. It is Friends to Lovers and it's got a fake relationship. So 2 of my favorite tropes, how could I not enjoy it? And then I finally finished up the Titan series by Jennifer L. Armentrout. I read books 3 and 4. Both of them were sadly just 3-star reads for me. I find that when I go back to a lot of her series that I read years and years ago, I just don't enjoy them as much anymore. They're not bad, but I'm just not as invested in the story or the romance as much. I first read the series back in 2015 and 2016. 4 years later, I'm finally finishing up the series with the last 2 books. I forgot a lot of stuff, my tastes have changed. So while I gave the first 2 books 5 stars, these 2 last books are 3 stars. The Titan series is her new adult fantasy romance series. It is a spin-off of the Covenant series, and both series are about Greek gods and titans. Book 3 is the struggle and book 4 is the prophecy. There's not much that I can say without spoiling a lot of things that happen in the series. The romance between Josie and Seth continues to grow. There are a lot of ups and downs between them. A lot of people and gods are trying to kill them. I was really dumb though when I was reading these 2 books. I accidentally started book 4 instead of book 3, so something major in the beginning of the prophecy spoiled what happened in book 3, so there was that. But I am glad I finally finished the series from her. I think I only have 2 unfinished series from her that she's not still currently writing, but one of them is young adult, and God knows I just don't read young adult anymore, so that one probably never gonna finish. The other one is her Wait For You series, which is her new adult contemporary romance series. I do enjoy that series. Again, don't know why I never finished. I just have such a terrible time finishing series that aren't complete when I start them. Unless it's for a top favorite author, if I have to wait for the next few books to release, I'm just never gonna finish that series. And then I read Sanctuary by Alexandria House. I was so excited about this one when she announced it because it's a paranormal romance from an author that I've only read contemporaries from. I love when authors write in different genres, but this one I did not love it, giving it 3 stars. It's a second chance romance between former young loves, and then there's this whole African paranormal aspect to it that just was not well written. The concept of it is interesting. The hero left the heroine because he came into his powers, but this novella is just too short for this paranormal romance to have any sort of good background to it. Nothing is fleshed out. The plot was a bit convoluted. There just wasn't enough world building for anything to make sense. This one was a bit disappointing. If it was a full-length book, it probably would have worked so much better. And then I finally read a good book, one that I really enjoyed, and that one is Dreammaker by Kristen Ashley. I used to read a ton of KA, a lot of her older classic indie stuff. I haven't kept up with any of her new releases in a long time, but I decided to finally read this new series of hers, which is a spin-off of her Dream Man series and the Rock Chick series. Dreammaker is book 1 in the Dream Team series about Evie and Mag, and yes, we do get to see a lot of the Rock Chick series gang and the Dream Man series characters. This book really felt like classic KA to me. It felt so much like her older series that I really enjoyed, but I will say if you're not familiar with KA and her writing style and her character style, especially for her heroes, this book probably wouldn't work quite as well for you. But if you're a big KA fan, you will probably enjoy this one a lot. I listened to this one in audio because that's pretty much the only way I can read any Kristen Ashley book these days, because even though I loved her writing back in the day, I can't really handle her writing, reading her writing anymore. I have to listen to it. Her books are so long with so many details, which again, you will probably enjoy if you love KA, but not as much if you're not familiar with her. So our main characters meet when they go on a blind date. The date itself doesn't go as smoothly as they plan, but when they meet each other for the first time, Mag and Evie are definitely into each other, and pretty much from the get-go, Mag is that pursuing hero. The more he gets to know Evie, the more he knows that she is the one for him. He's a classic KA over-the-top alpha hero. Evie is one of the dancers in this local strip club that has been featured in so many of Kristen Ashley's books. There is a really great girl gang in Dreammaker. Like if you loved the female friendship in Rock Chick series, you will definitely enjoy the female friendship in this book and probably throughout this series. This book was just really fun, really long, but really fun, and I cannot wait to read more from the series. Next, I read Welcome to the Cameo Hotel by K.I. Lin. This one was 3 stars. It didn't wow me, but it wasn't all that bad. I saw that it was available at my library, so I just figured why not borrow it. The setting for this book is the Cameo Hotel, which is where the heroine works. She's working there to pay her way through school, and that's where she meets Gavin, our hero. He is this really rich corporate CEO guy who checks into this hotel, and he's an awful guest. He's pretty much a jackass and makes a ton of annoying requests from the hotel, and specifically from the heroine Emma, but he's only an ass because he's insanely attracted to Emma, which was really annoying, but whatever. There is a bit of a forbidden aspect aspect to this because as a hotel worker, Emma is not allowed to fraternize with any of the hotel guests. So they start this whole secret sexual affair kind of thing. It's hot, but nothing really special or unique. It's pretty much another rich hero, poor heroine kind of romance. So if you like that kind of thing, this one is probably for you. And then I read my very first Christmas romance of 2020. I think it's my first Christmas romance this year, but it is A Princess for Christmas by Jenny Holiday. This book is literally if a Hallmark Christmas movie turned into a book. We have a princess heroine who's trying to save her country from a depression. The hero is a grumpy New York City taxi cab driver and he drives the heroine around the city. He's got some baggage as well. His parents died in an accident and he's the sole caretaker of his younger sister. Their Christmas romance is super cute and adorable. They do all these touristy New York City stuff because the heroine has never really done anything like that. The first half of this book is set in New York City with the main characters doing all these cute New York City touristy stuff, and then the second half is set in the heroine's kingdom, the country of Eldovia, where Marie invites Leo and his sister Gabby to stay with her for Christmas. The second half of this book was a bit of a drag for me. It definitely slowed down the pacing of this book. It focuses a lot more on Marie's country, the throne, all the politics that are involved. I just got a little bit bored with all of that talk. I really just wanted more of Leo and Marie, but overall it was a really cute romance. If you're looking for some Christmas romances to start up the season, this one would be perfect. Also, if you're not following me on Instagram, I recently did an Instagram live with Jenny Holiday talking all about this release. So if you want to watch us talk about all the Christmas books, all the Christmas romances, holiday movies, go check it out. It's on my IGTV. These next two novellas are smutty novellas from Lena Lucas. These were recommendations from my friend Charles. He was raving about this author to me because of how smutty they were. He pitched them as Jessa Kane but with no plot, and already I was like, wait, Charles, Jessa Kane doesn't have any plot and that's why I love reading her. But no, he was right. Lena Lucas has even less plot than Jessa Kane does. It's literally just pure sex. So the novellas that I read from her were Primed and Pure. I liked Pure just a little bit more, but both of them were like 3-star reads to me. They were good, but apparently I do need a little bit of plot to my smutty novellas. Primed is the brother's best friend trope, so these main characters have known each other for a long time and have lusted after each other for a long time. They're both virgins, I think. They save themselves for each other, and the book honestly just goes straight into all the smut. The other book was Pure, the one that I enjoyed just a little bit more. The main characters are in college, their families are friends, and they're both head over heels for each other. She ends up becoming his new tutor because he purposely failed that class to get closer to her. It was cute and smutty. Both of these novellas have very over-the-top obsessive alpha heroes, which I do love reading in my smut. So if you want dirty novellas that have no frills, just get straight into the good stuff, definitely try out Lena Lucas. Of course, there's not a month that goes by without a Jessa Kane release and without me reading that Jessa Kane release. Last month she came out with Queen Sized, which is another one of her historical medieval kind of novellas. This time we have a hero who's king and absolutely does not want to get married, but then he meets the heroine, sees her across the room, and falls in lust. In love as well, but he's not going to acknowledge that. He wants her to become his mistress because he doesn't want to marry anybody. The heroine is like, nope, I deserve better than that. I'm not going to be your mistress. It's all or nothing. It's kinky, it's dirty, it's Jessa Kane. I really enjoyed this one. I've been really liking her non-contemporary kind of novellas, so I give this one 4 stars. Next, I read another Jenny Holiday book, Mermaid Inn, which is the first book in her small town romance series, her Matchmaker Bay series. It's a second chance small town romance. I didn't love it all that much. It was a 3-star read for me. I just struggle a bit with small town romances. It takes a lot for me to fall in love with this kind of setting. Eve, the heroine, has come back to her small hometown because she's inherited her aunt's inn, the Mermaid Inn. She left town about 10 years ago because the hero broke her heart, but now she's back back very reluctantly, but only so that she can fix up this inn and get it to sell, and then she can get out of town again. Sawyer is our police chief hero, and he's the guy who broke Eve's heart. Their second chance romance is a bit of a slow burn. It takes a while for them to get back together, and I just wasn't a big fan of the slower pace, but the characters were fine, the romance was okay. It was just a very average read for me. The heroine is just so ready to leave this town, not settle back down anymore, and the hero took his sweet time apologizing for breaking her heart and even explaining why he broke her heart in the first place. I didn't really like or buy his reason, so this one averaged 3 stars. I did love though that the setting is a beach town. It's a small beach town rather than just, you know, regular old small town. So that was probably one of the aspects that I really enjoyed in this book. Next up, I read The Princess Trap by Talia Hibbert. This is one of her royal romances. This one was really cute, really hot. I really wanted to love it, but it was just 3 stars for me. Not bad, but not quite as good as some of the other books that I read from Talia Hibbert. So here we have a prince hero, a bisexual prince hero, and the heroine is a plus size black woman. Already Ruben and Cherry are great, but then add in a whole fake engagement, and this book made for a really fun read. I just had some problems with the pacing. I felt really rushed at times, and some things just weren't as fleshed out as they could have been, especially with Ruben's whole royal kingdom. I did like Ruben and Cherry's characters, but I just don't think the whole fake engagement plot was executed all that well for me. Also, I will say the audiobook was not the best. The narrator was kind of all over the place, so I would recommend just reading the ebook rather than listening to the audio. Next, I read My Last Duchess by Eloisa James. This is a historical romance. It's the prequel to the Wilds of Lindo Castle series, though I would say you can probably read it as a standalone just fine. This one is about the parents, the Wild parents, how the Duke hero met his third and latest wife. It was so sweet and adorable. I really enjoyed this one. It's very low drama. It does take place during the winter time, so winter vibes. Hugo, our Duke hero, is the single father of 8 children. His second wife has just abandoned him and their kids, so now he's off to find a new duchess. He sees Ophelia, the heroine, across the room at some dance and just falls head over heels in love. It is very insta-lovey, which I was in the perfect mood for. Unfortunately for Hugo, Ophelia does not want to be a duchess. She is perfectly happy being a single mother of 1. She doesn't need his money. She doesn't need anything from him really. She is very much an independent woman, independent mother, and that part I really liked reading about. Hugo does everything he can to woo Ophelia, so if you like a pursuing hero, you will adore Hugo. There are a ton of children here. The hero's 8, the heroine's 1, and they're all so adorable. If you've read the Wild series, then you get to see all the main characters as children in this book. It was just a really sweet, feel-good read. It's really short, about 250 pages, so if you want a historical romance that's really quick, fairly low drama, a little bit of angst, this one is perfect. And then I read Here to Stay by Adriana Herrera. This one was a 3.5, maybe 4-star read for me. I did enjoy it, but I didn't love it quite as much as some of her Dreamers books. This romance is set in the workplace. It's an office romance. Always love office romances. Julia, the heroine, is working at her dream job. Rocco, the hero, has been hired from another company as a consultant to help Julia's company go public. He's also been hired to decide whether Julia's part of the company should be cut. So Rocco does not quite have Julia's best interests at heart when he goes to Texas, but the sparks fly from the moment that they first meet. The romance is actually really sweet. Rocco really wanted to be with Julia, but he knew that he would have to make some really tough decisions that might hurt one or both of them. There's a great cast of characters here. I really like the sense of friendship and family between the office friendships and then Julia's whole family who are super involved. There's lots of great diversity with Julia's Afro-Latinx background. It was just a very well-rounded read, but I did have some problems with the whole miscommunication thing. There's a lot of back and forth between Julia and Rocco, especially on Julia's end. I just got a little tired of reading about that, but everything else I did really enjoy. And then I read a bunch of romances romances for Halloween, which I talked all about in my Halloween video, so I won't go into too much detail about these. If you haven't watched that video yet, go check it out. I read 2 mafia romances for the Halloween video. First one was Cruel Paradise by J.T. Geissinger, and then the other one was Sweet Temptation by Cora Reilly. Cruel Paradise I really enjoyed. This one was 4 stars for me. It was so fun, lots of great banter. It wasn't quite the dark mafia romance that I was hoping to get. Honestly, neither of them were, but it was still a really fun mafia romance. I love the quirky heroine. The hero is all in, obsessed with the heroine. Killian is our Irish mafia boss hero. He sees Jules, the heroine, stealing something from him, but instead of killing her, which he would normally do, he goes to see why she did what she did and ends up falling for her pretty much right from the get-go. Sweet Temptation was a bit of a disappointment. This was my first book from Cora Reilly, but I gave it 3 stars. This one had all the elements that I normally would love, like an age gap, marriage of convenience, a single father, but the romance was just very lacking and flat for me. I didn't love Cassio or Julia, and the writing was not for me. It's so much telling and not enough showing. So I'm sad I didn't love this one, especially after so many people hyped this author for me. I know you guys said that she has some better books from some different series, so I might give those a try, but I'm not in any hurry to read more from Cora Reilly. This one was also our Ravished by Romance book club read for October, so if you haven't watched our live chat, I'll link it down below. And then I read a romantic suspense, Whiteout by Adriana Anders. This one is set in Antarctica on this research site. The hero is a researcher, the heroine is a chef, so they're in Antarctica when they realize that there's someone coming after them and trying to kill them for this deadly virus. They try to survive in this cold, deadly place while also falling in love. This one was a 3-star read for me. It was okay. I wanted to love it more, but it was just fine. I read a couple post-apocalyptic romances. Radio Silence by Alyssa Cole. There's no more electricity, no more technology. Nothing really works in this world anymore. The heroine and her roommate are trying to survive. She falls in love with the roommate's older brother. There's honestly not a lot that happens in this post-apocalyptic world, which is why I only gave it 3 stars. I did love the other 2 post-apocalyptic romances that I read. Those were zombie romances, Flesh and Skin by Kylie Scott. I gave both of them 4 stars. They were so much fun to read. They're both very smutty with over-the-top obsessed heroes. The first book is also a menage, but they're all just trying to survive from these zombies, trying not to die. There's a lot of action, a lot of smut. It is over the top, but it just worked so well for me. I'm so glad that I read these 2. Highly recommend them for some fun times, and especially if you love zombies. And then I read a horror romance from Karina Halle, Dark House, which is the first book in her Experiment in Terror series, all about ghosts and ghost hunting. It was a fine start to a series. There's not much development in the romance. I know that it develops more in later books, so this was a 3-star read. I do want to continue on with the rest of the series. It is a pretty long series, so I'm not sure when I'll have time to finish it up, but I do want to eventually. The last Halloween romance that I read was this gothic romance, The Widow of Rose House by Diana Biller. This one also has ghosts in it. It has a haunted mansion. The heroine has just bought this place to renovate it, but no one is willing to work on it because it's haunted. So she enlists the help of the hero Sam. He's a professor and a scientist and the biggest cinnamon roll hero ever. He helps her see what's the deal with this haunting and this supposed ghost. I adored Sam. He is the sweetest guy ever, and he pretty much worships the ground that Alba walks on. I just really enjoyed this one. It was a great gothic romance. I gave it 4 stars. And then the last book that I read in October was the first book of my PNR readathon, TBR, which is Queen Takes Nights by Jolie Sue Burkhart. This one is a pretty short book. It is the first in their Vampire Queen series. It's a polyamorous romance series. We have a heroine who is like a long lost vampire queen and then her 2 vampire knights. I gave it 3.5 stars. It's like a good start and setup to this whole series, but I can't say there's much to it. I didn't fall in love with it, but I am slightly invested in these main characters. It's an interesting world, a little bit different than your typical vampire romance, but it's a pretty long series, so who knows if I'll ever end up continuing on. Those were all the books that I read in October. I pretty much have no more sunlight, so I need to end this soon. It was a fairly okay reading month, a couple more misses than hits. Let me know if you've read any of these books, what your thoughts are. All of them will be linked down in the description below. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all next time. Bye!